Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. It was a nice warm day for the 49ers Pro Day on Wednesday. There were a handful of guys that probably will get drafted and some other guys that maybe would be undrafted free agents for the 49ers. There was about 50 prospects, a little bit under 50 prospects, but I think the big star of the show yesterday was Robert Saleh walking onto the field for the first time for everybody else, for the public or for the media there to see Robert Saleh out there kind of socializing with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. I did post a video in my shorts, not in my shorts, but in my shorts feed on YouTube. Kyle, John, Robert Saleh, just like he never left. And when he came out to the field, he kind of shook everybody's hands, all the media members that covered him when he was here the previous time. And I said, hey, it's like just like coming home. He's like, just like. So happy to be around. I think he's happy to work for a better organization with a better owner. I think the Jets, while I think he wants to be a head coach again, just a dysfunctional organization. You've seen what they've done, and I don't know if the Jets are going to be able to kind of come out of the funk that they've been in for quite some time until Woody Johnson kind of gets out of their way. But anyways, back to the 49ers Pro Day. Robert Saleh was out there, but really it was the position coaches that worked one-on-one or one on five or 10 with those guys that came in. So there are a couple wide receivers, a Stanford receiver, Elick Io Manor, and he did not work out, but he spent a lot of time talking to John Lynch at the beginning. Now, he actually did a workout at his pro day. He worked out at the combine, so he felt like 49ers had seen what they needed to see. And he said to us afterwards, hey, they didn't ask me to work out. They just asked me to come show up. And so he did. And it was, he talked to the media afterwards and, seemed like a nice enough guy. He's probably a guy that will get drafted. San Jose State's Nick Nash was also there. He actually did go through the workout. He worked with Leonard Hankerson. He said it was great to get some work with NFL coaches. He has gone on a few top 30 meetings. But this is a time for him to, meet some more of the guys that were at the 49ers facility. I watched Tariq Ahmad and RJ Gillen walk around the field and taking notes of all the guys that they've seen. They stood right there. Especially, I watched Tariq Ahmad take notes for all the cornerbacks and safeties that were out there. So, I mean, they could use some depth at cornerback and safety. They do have their guys. It's going to be Diamante Lenore and Bernardo Green at quarterback, but who's going to play the nickel? They did get a guy, they've added some free agents. Who's going to play safety? It's Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa. Also, of the players that kind of stuck around during the offseason, Dominic Pooney was standing outside the weight room watching the pro day, as was Malik Mustafa. Evan Anderson was there and Sam Okwanu. So those four guys were kind of hanging out, watching the guys go through the workouts. They had obviously been working out in the 49ers weight room. So that's your kind of behind the scenes update. But Nick Nash did work out and he said, hey, anytime I can play football and kind of get some time with NFL coaches, it's a good thing. So he was a guy that, could be a late round pick, also a guy, who probably will get drafted in the late round. A late round, maybe undrafted free agent. I'm not really sure. He was a quarterback. He changed after 3 years to being a wide receiver for San Jose State after another quarterback came in, beat him out, and, it was kind of a similar style. A linebacker that did not work out was Teddy Buchanan. He's from Cal. He actually spent most of the time talking to Patrick Willis on the side, and he said it was great to meet him. This is what he said afterwards. I had a great talk with him, just trying to pick his brain and talk about what made him great. It was really great. We just talked about what he did, and it was a really simple advice. Bring it every single day. Get up, ready to attack the day. It was really cool to talk to him. He was a player I grew up watching. It's crazy, right? Because Patrick Willis did not play that long ago. He just got into the Hall of Fame. So these guys coming out to hear that was a player I watched when I grew up. It makes me feel old. It probably makes Patrick Willis feel old. Does it make you feel old? Anyways, it was kind of a fun day. We talked to those three players, Elick Manor and Nick Nash and Teddy Buchanan. So those are the three players that spoke to the media afterwards. But there was a couple of special teamers there, couple kickers, definitely some offensive linemen that were there, and defensive linemen as well. So it's a lot of guys that they can, maybe bring in as undrafted free agent for a little depth. But really, I think we did not get to talk to Robert Saleh, but at some point during OTAs. That's coming up soon. We'll probably get to talk to him. So the team reports April 22nd. That is not far away. And guess what? The draft is in 2 weeks. That number 11 pick will happen in 2 weeks. We'll get to see what the 49ers direction is. I'm calling it as it's going to be a defensive lineman, probably defensive tackle. Um, Eric Branch asked Kyle Shanahan, who are your starters on the defensive line? This was at the NFL annual meeting. He's like, we have starters. He's like, other than Nick Bosa, who is there? He's like, there's other starters. And Eric Branch was like, I don't know. And as Kyle Shanahan kind of got up from the table, he's like, Yetur Gross-Matos, come on. So from what it sounds like, it's going to be Nick Bosa and Yetur Gross-Matos on the other side, and then they're going to fill in with the draft at defensive tackle. So that's where we're going. And I wrote up the story, and it's on NBCSportsBayArea.com about what happened at the 49ers Pro Day. So definitely check that out. And I also did write another story about whether D Winters is the guy that they think is going to be the replacement for Dre Greenlaw. Verdict's still out, but he definitely does have a chance. It's could be D Winters, it could be Tatum Bethune, but both of those guys need to prove that they can play up to that level, a starting caliber linebacker next to Fred Warner. So that will play out during OTAs and training camp, and we'll see what happens. They could also draft a linebacker. All right, everybody. Hope you're well. Happy Thursday, and I will talk to you soon.